The candidates will give an opening statement. There'll be a series of questions and answers, and then an open forum where we will engage in a discussion. Candidates can question each other, and it should be an interesting time. And then finally, a closing statement. Now, the only people who know the actual questions would be our panelists. I don't even know the questions. Let me introduce them to you. From the Detroit Free Press, M.L. Elric, and co-founder of 100 Fed Up, Patty McMurray. Okay. 100%. I wrote it. I didn't say right. 100% fed up. All right. Let me just caution the audience, though. Okay, I appreciate the enthusiasm, but we'll hold the applause to the end only because we want to make sure that we can get more answers and clear answers and maximize time. And speaking of that, let's start right now. The speaking order for the opening statement was chosen at random, and the first speaker will be Garrett Soldano. Garrett?
All right, you ready?
All right. Go ahead. No clapping, you guys.
We ready?
Go.
All right. My name's Garrett Soldano, and you have to go back over 2 years and 3 months on how this started. And it goes all the way back right before April 9th when our governor was telling us what we could and couldn't buy. Remember, you can't buy paint and mulch. You'll die of COVID. God forbid you touch that gas station pump handle. You'll die of COVID. Now we're dying at the gas pump for a different reason, aren't we? And so like all of you, I was waiting for somebody in a position of authority, an elected official, somebody in a position of power to represent us and stand up to these unconstitutional lockdowns. And nobody was. And so I started that Facebook group, Michiganders Against Excessive Quarantine, which grew to hundreds of thousands of people in little under 3 days. So a movement was born literally overnight. So my job as the leader of this movement was to direct this energy, this passion, this frustration into a force to be reckoned with, and that's what we were able to do. We immediately start to hammer down on our legislature. We got resolutions through. We got our Unlock Michigan petition done. We have been responsible recruiting hundreds or thousands of licensed election inspectors. We need leadership now more than ever. We are done with the bought and paid for politicians. We want real, and that's what I'm here to offer.
All right, thank you, Garrett Soldano. Next opening statement, Ralph Rebrandt. Ralph?
Thank you for coming tonight. I just want to give you an update here. Over the last 60 years, we have spent $22 trillion on social programs. Folks, we have sent businessmen and women to Lansing. We've sent politicians, and we have more incarcerations, more broken families. We have more depression and suicides. And I ask you, what's the advantage of that? We need to make a change in Michigan. We have a cultural problem. Every issue that we're going to talk about tonight is indeed, folks, a cultural problem. We will never fix the state unless you fix the city. You will never fix the city unless you fix the neighborhood. And you will never fix the neighborhood unless you fix the family. My 35 years of experience as a pastor has given me unique insight into repairing the family and healing the state. We'd like you to join with us to make Michigan a lighthouse to the nation.
All right, thank you, Ralph Rebrandt. All right, next, Tudor Dixon, 1 minute opening.
Thank you all for being here tonight. I am excited to tell you a little bit about me. If you haven't heard who I am, I come from a steel background, but in 2017, I started fighting for conservative voices, went into the media, and now I'm fighting for you because we saw what happened when our state was shut down by a tyrant governor who refuses to work with our legislature and refuses to see the struggles that Michiganders go through every single day. But as you may have seen earlier today, I was with some of our legislators, and we presented a bill on the steps of the Capitol today to prevent drag queens from going into our schools. We will take this war head on, but we will also fight for family in the state. We will bring our schools back to make sure there is no wrong path for students. We will build our workforce. We will make sure that we highlight skilled trades, and we will treat our businesses like we are happy to have them here. We will be a customer service, family-first state here in Michigan.
Thank you, Tudor Dixon. Next, Kevin Rinke. Opening statement, please.
Good evening. I'm Kevin Rinke. My family's been in Michigan since the 1700s. And during that period of time, we've seen the greatest that Michigan has offered, and we've seen a decline. And in my lifetime, 61 years, we've seen the greatest decline in the last 3.5 years. Autocracy, government that doesn't work, that doesn't function the way our country set it up to function. I'm an outsider. I'm a conservative. I'm a businessman. And running the state's business is the role of the governor. We're going to fix education because education is a critical aspect of business. We're going to fix the tax climate. And I'm the one who has proposed eliminating the 4.25% personal income tax that gives you back $11.8 billion of your dollars, because I know that you know how to spend it better than Lansing. It's my privilege and my pleasure to be here tonight, and I'm looking forward to being your next governor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kevin Rinke. And next, Ryan Kelly, please. All right. Go ahead. Caution, audience. Caution, audience.
Great to be here with you all this evening in Macomb County. You all know, just like I do, that Michigan's next governor needs to be a fighter. You want to know who's the fighter for the people? Look at the one that the left is trying to silence the hardest. I think that's very evident with the FBI raiding my house, intimidating me, my wife, my children, my supporters. Want to be very clear with everyone tonight, we will not be intimidated by the radical left. Tucker Carlson had me on his show. The day before Tucker Carlson had me on his show, he mentioned that I was the front runner in talking about how bad Gretchen Whitmer was. And there's polls that have come out recently that have validated what Tucker Carlson was talking about. I don't listen to polls. I follow my principles. If you want a fighter as Michigan's next governor, August 2nd, 33 days from now, vote for Ryan Kelly to take Whitmer out of office this November. Thank you guys for being here.
All right. Thank you, Ryan Kelly. All right. That's the first part of the debate. Second part, Q&A, question and answer. Each panelist will get a question directly. Another candidate will get a rebuttal. Candidates don't know the speaking order, the pairings, the questions, and the speaking order was all done randomly. Let's start right now. M.L. Elric, please ask Kevin Rinke a question. 1 minute response. Tudor Dixon gets a 30-second rebuttal. M.L. to Kevin.
Sure. First of all, welcome to all the candidates and good luck tonight. Kevin, Senate Republicans agreed with Democrats to require background checks, red flag laws, and other measures to keep guns out of the hands of potentially dangerous people. Did Republicans in Washington go too far? And what, if any, changes would you make to Michigan's gun laws?
I'm a constitutionalist, and I believe in constitutional carry. I'm very concerned because I do not support red flag laws. I think that it allows an opening for government overreach, and it eliminates due process. So I would not have approved that law in Michigan. I would have fought against that law. I think the government and Republicans in Washington have gone too far on that law. Certainly, we can all recognize the fact that it's people operating guns that kill people, not guns. And I think there's a distinction. We need to work and make sure that bad guys don't have guns. We need to keep our people safe. And all these onerous laws that violate our Second Amendment need to be put down, because I will support our Second Amendment every single time, just like I support our First Amendment and the right to free speech.
All right. Tudor Dixon, rebuttal.
I will not allow anyone to tear apart our Second Amendment. That is one of our rights. We will protect it, and we do not want red flag laws in the state of Michigan. Doesn't matter what's happening over there in the federal government. We will protect our right to constitutional carry in this state.
All right. Patty, ask Garrett Soldano a question. Ralph Rebrandt gets a rebuttal. Patty?
Garrett, inflation is at a 40-year high, and top economists are warning of a likely recession. Michigan seniors preparing for retirement may be forced to work longer as they watch their 401ks shrink. Parents are worried about how they'll feed their families or afford gas. A recent poll conducted by the Detroit Regional Chamber shows the #1 concern of voters in Michigan is inflation, with only 11% saying abortion is a top issue. Yet since the Supreme Court ruling on abortion last week, 20 of 20 tweets by Governor Gretchen Whitmer have been about her fight for abortion. If you're elected as our next governor, what will your top 3 priorities be?
My top 3 priorities are going to be inflation in the economy, our schools, and to make sure that we're investing in long-term energy-dense solutions. Just to go off to what they're doing, we all know what they're trying to do. There's a dumpster fire going on right now in our state and our country, and they're trying to direct all of our energy to one issue, and that's Roe versus Wade. Not with everything that's going on right now. Not on the average of $300 to $600 a month. We're all paying more. And we all, most of us in this room, come from humble beginnings. That's a lot of money, folks. And so if we don't start bringing some foresight and some common sense solutions to governing, we're going to be in hot water. We're already into a recession. We're knocking on the door of a depression. And so what we need to do is, number one, is make sure that no governor can ever weaponize the health department again. We need to get big government's boot off our throat, and we need to lower regulations. We need to start doing a forensic accounting on our budget. I'm not the candidate who's saying up here that we're going to balance the budget. We need to do forensic accounting line by line, and we need to cut that budget every single year to put more money back in your pockets. And the last thing is to invest in long-term energy-dense solutions.
Thank you, Garrett. Ralph Rebrandt, rebuttal.
My three things that I would be emphasizing is bringing God, number one, bringing God back into culture, bringing back our Judeo-Christian principles. My second thing would be bringing back our Judeo-Christian principles. And my third thing would be bringing back our Judeo-Christian principles. I share that because I challenge everybody on the trail to show me one issue that we face that's not a moral or spiritual issue. That's why we are where we are today.
All right. Thank you, Ralph. All right. Patty, another question. Tudor Dixon, a 1-minute answer, and Ryan Kelly, a 30-second rebuttal. Patty?
Tudor, many parents are outraged about the materials that are being taught in Michigan schools, from the teaching of sexual orientation or transgenderism to students starting in early grade school, to diversity, equity, and inclusion, another name for CRT, that's being taught to students in elementary school. Public schools and some government officials don't believe that parents should have a role in the curriculum selection process. To what extent do you think parents should have a say in their child's education?
Well, I've already called for parents to have a say in their child's education with the Parents' Right to Know Act. So we've called for the Parents' Right to Know Act, which would be in any school, a parent can go to their child's school's website and within 3 clicks get to that child's classroom and see what books are in the classroom, see what books are in the library, and see whether or not they are teaching any type of DEI, CRT, and what the class syllabus says. Every parent has a right to know exactly what is happening in their child's classroom. And that's why you saw me today on the steps of the Capitol also fighting for parents to make sure that we don't have radical attorney generals like Dana Nessel who come out and say we should have a drag queen in every classroom, not be taken seriously, because folks, that is a trial balloon. We are going to take every word they say seriously and make sure that we protect our kids and we stand with parents and parents' rights in education. We will make sure that parents get to know everything that's happening in their child's classroom.
All right. Thank you, Tudor Dixon. Ryan Kelly, rebuttal.
Day number 1 with Governor Kelly, I signed an executive directive terminating all of the DEI positions across all of our school government. Violates the Michigan Constitution, Article 1, Section 26. Included in that is critical race theory, social emotional learning. Also, what the Supreme Court just did with the ruling out of Maine allows the money to follow the student. I want the legislature to get me a bill to allow us to invest in our students and not the school districts. That way, the parents can put the money where their children will get the very best education. Provide a quality education or go out of business.
All right. Thank you, Ryan Kelly. ML, ask Ryan Kelly a direct question, and Garrett Soldano gets the rebuttal. ML?
Ryan, if you or another Republican is declared the winner of the governor's race, and Governor Whitmer claims the election is stolen, then calls on Michiganders to go to the state capitol to block the peaceful transition of power, what would you do?
Wow. All right, my, how the tables turned, right? We will grab popcorn and we'll watch the entertainment, right? Russia, Russia, Russia for 4 years, trying to track down everything that was involved with Donald Trump's victory when we know that was the American people. 2,000 mules, the 2020 election, and we see that they want to silence anybody that asks the questions about wanting to know the truth there. If on the off chance that they want to open their mouth again and put their shoe back into their mouth, we will allow them to peacefully protest and call out their hypocrisy in all different ways. The moment that they want to try to cross the line, we will have the National Guard or the police or whatever go ahead and keep the situation under control. That's an amazing question, and I would love to see that happen to really show what the left is all about.
All right. Thank you, Ryan Kelly. Garrett.
Yeah, we know what the left's all about. They constantly burn our cities in protest. And so to piggyback on what Ryan just said, he's right. Look, President Trump wanted the National Guard at D.C. He wanted it. They didn't put it there. All right? So now we got this smear campaign because they're trying to make sure that our next president doesn't run here in 2024. That's what they're trying to do. So they're trying to put all of our energy on that, the big lie. So like any other court case, folks, if there's new evidence that comes to surface, isn't it our responsibility to investigate that new evidence so we can find the truth? Because we all deserve to know the truth.
All right.
And 2,000 Mules did just that.
All right, thank you, Garrett. All right, Patty, ask Ralph Rebrand a question. Kevin Rinke gets the rebuttal. Patty?
Okay, Ralph, Michiganders from all political parties have expressed concern over Governor Whitmer's overreaction to the COVID pandemic, especially in comparison to other states. Governor Whitmer was one of the first to shut down schools. She shut down churches, hair salons, gyms, and restaurants while leaving strip clubs and marijuana businesses open. Family members were prohibited from visiting their loved ones in nursing homes over fear of spreading COVID, while at the same time COVID-positive patients were intentionally being placed in nursing homes. Many mistakes were made during the pandemic. What would you have done differently?
I would not be promoting my own personal agenda to become vice president. I would be thinking about the citizens of Michigan. I would be surrounding myself with doctors who are not politicized, but rather who understand what evidence-based medicine is all about. Evidence-based medicine, the highest proof is called randomized control trials. That is what stands up in court. That is what wins cases. Governor Whitmer did not even go to that level, nor did she go to the bottom level of expert testimony. She just got her information from newspaper articles in England, and she did not have opportunity to, I'm sorry, I'm mumbling here because I'm looking at those things. I would just be looking at real medicine, real science. She did not do that.
All right. Thank you, Ralph. Kevin Rinke, rebuttal.
It's apparent. Gretchen Whitmer knows how to play political science. She doesn't understand medical science. We lost small businesses. We hurt families. We hurt our children. We hurt our seniors, while we were used in a petri dish for her to audition for a position that she thought gave her more power and more sway. She was sworn to protect the people of Michigan, and she broke down on her responsibility.
All right, thank you, Kevin Rinke. All right, ML, ask Ralph another question, and then Ryan Kelly gets the rebuttal.
Ralph, some people say they choose abortion because they cannot afford to raise a child without financial and medical support. Critics of welfare say some families have babies to make money from the government. Where do you fall in this debate?
I fall on the side of faith-based organizations coming alongside women and men who are having to make some very difficult decisions. There are groups out here in Michigan. One is called One Life for Life. And One Life for Life, folks, stands out in front of Planned Parenthood, convincing women they should not have a baby, offering to pay for diapers, food, and clothing for the first 3 years of that baby's life. I have a picture on my wall in my office from a gentleman at our church who left his engineering job to go do that very thing. And he has given me this poster that has probably 40 women who have given birth to those little children. So I would not be looking at the welfare system or government to pick up the slack when this abortion issue is over. I would be looking at faith-based organizations to come behind and next to people in their difficult times.
Ryan Kelly?
Can you please repeat the question real quick?
Sure. Some people say they choose abortion because they can't afford to raise a child without support, financial or medical. Some people say people have babies so they can get money from the government. Where do you fall on this spectrum?
I got 30 seconds here. So in the 1960s, the Democrats tore apart the black families, wanting to make the welfare state, and they encouraged fatherless homes, and that very idea that you're talking about has been encouraged, and that's led to a lot of disaster. I believe that we need to be building up communities, and we need to be building up resources to offer to these individuals. Now that Roe versus Wade has been overturned, this is a very real conversation that we have to have. And yes, leaning on the community, because we must always remember that government is the problem, not the solution. We need to lean on our faith communities for that.
All right, thank you, Ryan. By the way, Ryan, just move the microphone just a little closer next time, okay? That was
Better?
good. All right, perfect. Not that close. M.L. Elric, ask Garrett Saldano a question. Tudor Dixon gets a rebuttal.
Garrett, some Republican gubernatorial candidates want to eliminate Michigan's income tax, which raises $13 billion and accounts for about 2/3 of the state's general fund budget. Where will you find the money to replace this huge chunk of the fund that Michiganders rely on to provide public services?
Well, what we have to do is, just like I said, do forensic accounting. If you look at the population of Michigan over the past decade, 50 out of our 83 counties have lost a total of 100,000 people in population. That's tax revenue. So we need to attract these people and these businesses back to our state so we can increase tax revenue. But if you look at that same graph, our spending is out of control. So what's missing? We are overspending. So we have to do forensic accounting on our budget, and we have to go through that, and we have to eliminate the wasteful spending. When we can do that, we can do the things that Kevin Rinke wants to do and eliminate the state income tax. It's common sense solutions of what we need. But we can promise all of these things, and if we don't inspire businesses and families to move back to the state of Michigan, we're going to be dead in the water. And that's what we have to do by cutting regulations. We have to make sure that no governor can ever weaponize the health department again. We have to cut our budget, and we have to invest in long-term energy-dense solutions. If we do that, we'll be competing with the DeSantis of Florida, the Abbotts of Texas, and the Tennessees of the world. That's what we have to do, folks, and I'm the leader to get that done.
All right, thank you, Garrett. Soldado. Tudor Dixon, rebuttal.
The legislature has already found a way to reduce it in 2 different ways, and the governor has, of course, vetoed, because she's vetoed more bills than any other governor in the history of the state of Michigan. So we already have a plan to start to phase it out. We're working with the top economists across the nation to phase it out completely, but the best way is definitely to bring families here. Make Michigan the place you want to live, play, and work. Right? Make sure Michiganders are bringing other people here, and the best way to do that is make sure you have world-class education, safe cities, and it is affordable to live here, and we will treat business well.
All right, thank you, Tudor Dixon. Patty, please ask Ryan Kelly a question. Kevin Rinke gets the rebuttal. Patty?
Ryan, in 2021, Ford announced it would be moving its electric car production from Michigan to Mexico and building a new mega campus in Tennessee, along with battery plants in Kentucky. Last week, Kellogg announced they will move their headquarters from the largest division of their business from Battle Creek to Chicago. If you're elected governor, what will you do to encourage corporations to come to Michigan and convince corporations already doing business in Michigan to stay?
Rolling blackouts coming your way. We know that the nuclear power plant that was just shut down, Consumers Energy wants to shut down all their coal-powered plants by 2025. We can't even run our air conditioners in our home, let alone attract businesses like manufacturers that need a lot of electricity. We want to become an agreement state here. I would sign for us to become an agreement state, take control of our nuclear energy program, build a robust nuclear energy program so we can provide inexpensive, reliable, cheap, and abundant and clean electricity here for the state of Michigan, which will attract manufacturers, keep them here. Our 6% corporate income tax needs to at least be cut in half, if not be done away with, to attract job creators to the state of Michigan, give them incentives to want to be here, create jobs, create prosperity for Michiganders.
All right, thank you, Ryan Kelly. Kevin Rinke, rebuttal.
Yeah, I've spent my life creating an environment for the people that I lead to be successful in. Again, we create a tax environment that works. We're going to focus on line 5. It's 33,000 jobs, $2.87 billion of economic stimulus. We're going to focus on Space Force and bringing specialty aerospace products into Michigan. We're going to focus on artificial intelligence, one of the fastest growing technology fields. I know how to create business. At the same time, we're going to reward the people here that already have a business with that income tax reduction.
Thank you, Kevin Rinke. All right, ML asked Tudor Dixon a question. Ralph Rebrandt gets the rebuttal. ML?
Tudor, Michigan faces many harsh realities that require a governor who can separate fact from fiction. Local election officials from both parties, the Michigan Auditor General, even Republican state senators say election fraud did not occur here. How can Michiganders trust candidates to lead our state who continue to promote the fantasy that the 2020 election was corrupted or stolen?
We're going to be realistic here, right, and agree that fraud happens in all elections. But in this election, we had a unique situation where we had a Secretary of State who went against the rules, changed the rules at the last minute, and decided to do things that were considered unlawful. So that alone was fraudulent. When you have someone who decides to reduce the signature match after running a campaign saying, we don't need voter ID because we've got the signature match and that's perfect. And then when you get rid of that, what does that mean, Jocelyn? It looks a little fishy to me. And then on top of that, she sends out absentee ballot applications to everybody in the state. And we got $12 million from Zuckerberg. That guess what? We are the only state in the nation that didn't have any government oversight in that money. So where did it go? Well, let's see. That went to that went into a nonprofit and then was filtered out to Democrat consultants that went out to get out the vote for guess who? Democrats. So was there ballot harvesting? That's pretty hard to find. They have a great system, and it helps when your Secretary of State is willing to do illegal things to help them.
All right, thank you, Tudor Dixon. Ralph Rebrat, rebuttal.
In 2005, the Federal Election Commission established what was called the Carter-Baker Commission, and it said there are two ways to steal elections. One is, as Tudor had mentioned, mass mail-out ballots. The other one was lack of signature verification. Those are the very things, those are the playbook that they took to steal our election. I've always been telling people that Antrim County is God's gift to the nation. If 80% Republican county can vote in favor of Biden, that's ridiculous, folks. And we know that that was fraud because we know it was fraud.
All right, thank you. All right, the last question in this round. Patty asks Kevin Rinke a question. Garrett Soldano gets the rebuttal. Patty?
Well, this is the perfect question as a follow-up. Election fraud remains a top issue with Republican voters in Michigan. The recent 2000 Mules movie, that's been seen over 2 million times, provides credible evidence of widespread voter fraud in 5 swing states, including Michigan. Using geolocation data from cell phones, True the Vote was able to detect over 500 ballot traffickers that delivered an estimated 125,000 illegal ballots in Detroit. Do you believe widespread fraud took place in Michigan in the 2020 election? And if so, what do you think should be done about it?
There's no question that there was election fraud. There's no question that there were election irregularities. The Supreme Court has ruled twice against this administration and their representatives pertaining to this election. We talk about common sense things, voter ID. I jest. You got to be alive to vote. You got to be properly registered. In a Rinke administration, we don't veto a law that says it's a felony if you vote twice. In a Rinke administration, we don't veto a law that says you have to clean up the 520,000 plus names on voter rolls that have been inactive for over 20 years. In a Rinke administration, not only do we check signatures, we provide ID because that's what the people want and deserve. It's our responsibility in government to offer a fair, safe, honest, accurate, accessible election, and I'm going to work with Christina to make sure that happens.
All right. All right, Garrett Soldano, rebuttal.
Look, they've asked this question in every single debate. Everyone knows our stance on this. So, my goodness gracious, 2,000 Mules, there's new evidence. It has to be investigated. If anyone ever interferes with our elections, that's called treason, and they must be accountable and held responsible for as such. That is what needs to happen, folks. It's common sense. The legislature already did their job. They already passed common sense election integrity things, and we've been helping these Stand Up Michigan and other grassroots organizations to secure the 22 election by recruiting thousands of licensed election inspectors.
All right, thank you, Garrett Soldano. All right, that concludes the Q&A part of the debate. The next part of the debate, open forum. It'll be a discussion. Our panelists will introduce a topic, and any of the candidates can comment. Candidates can question each other if they want. We'd like a give and take amongst the candidates and the panelists, but I'll make sure that no one dominates the discussion. All right, here we go. Patty, please start the discussion.
Sure. Kevin, I want to do a follow-up question regarding the election fraud. The question was, do you believe widespread election fraud took place in Michigan?
Again, I commented, there's fraud, and it occurred in this past election.
Widespread, yes or no? Yes
or
or
It
no?
doesn't have to be widespread to lose an election.
You know, CNN came after me. They said when I came out with my Dead Democrats Vote ad, they came after me. And you know what their conclusion was? Dead Republicans vote too. The whole point is this. It's not okay to have inaccurate elections. It's not okay that we have policies that aren't followed by our Secretary of State. It's
All right.
not okay that
Let me
people
get-
harvest
All right,
ballots.
thank you, Kevin. Garrett,
I have a
go ahead.
question. Who up here has been doing anything about our 2022 election?
What was that?
What have you been doing?
What's your question?
Because what
Wait.
our movement has been doing is we have been recruiting thousands of licensed election inspectors to get involved. We've been recruiting all these people to make sure our 2022 election is secure.
Every speech I give, I do the same thing. There was 11 Democrats for every one Republican that worked the polls.
I have
in
never
20.
heard you come out and recruit a licensed election
You know what?
inspector.
Then you
like
haven't
that.
Patty.
been listening, and we
Never.
haven't been together, and that's okay.
Yeah.
There was 11-1 in every one of my stump speeches. When I bring up election, you know what I say? Get involved. If it's important to you, go out and do something about it. This last election, the Democrats were playing chess while the Republicans
All right.
played checkers.
Ralph,
Not going to happen.
Ralph, do you want to get in on this
I do.
discussion?
I just
Go
want
ahead.
to.
Hold on, you guys. Go ahead, Ralph.
There are two things I want to talk about. One is I want to ask the panel up here, how many of you believe that the widespread election fraud was enough to swing the election toward Biden? Raise your hand with me.
Clarify what?
My question is this. How many of you believe that the election fraud was big enough, or to use Patty's words, widespread enough to change to that Trump should have been rightly elected, but Biden got in? How many of you believe that there was that
Who thinks
much
Trump should have been elected
Yes.
because of the
Yes.
widespread?
I believe that.
Show of hands. There's that much. I think
He's
they-
still my president, and when he runs in 2024, he's going to be our president again.
So Garrett, you asked a very good question. You asked the question, who was involved in the election of November 2020? Who was speaking out against it? Ryan raised his hand, and somebody out there said, Ryan, you have claimed on the trail that you are the only candidate who has stood up against election fraud in November of 2020. Do you remember saying that?
That is correct. Just because you were at the TCF Center with your badge out there doing anything, what'd you do afterwards? Did
Okay.
you stop any of the fraud?
Well, you didn't stop the fraud either, but I will tell you this. Ryan has been telling people he's the only one who's been on the campaign trail in 2020. Folks, I filed an affidavit with President Trump. I filed an affidavit with the legislature. I went a week later, left my tree stand to go to Lansing to have a testimony of what I saw.
Tudor, do you wanna-
And so what I'm saying to you today
All right.
is Ryan has been saying things that aren't true. When he says, I am the only candidate who stood up, folks, do your research. That is absolutely not true.
All right,
So here
Ryan,
we
go
I
ahead,
wanna
Ryan.
Jump in on that, right? Since you're going to call me out on that, you were in Alcona County and you said that you wouldn't go attend the Mackinac Policy Conference. You're on video saying that. Did you attend the Mackinac Policy Conference? Yes or no?
I did attend that because
Yeah,
they
there you
changed.
go.
Yeah,
You're telling lies too, Ralph.
Ryan, you
All
are
right.
good at raising your voice to get your point across.
Hold on,
but
I want to get
here's-
Tudor. Let me get Tudor in. I think she wants to say something to you on this
Well,
topic.
you mentioned the Mackinac
Hold on.
Policy
Shh.
Conference. So, Ryan, I just want to ask you, as governor, are you going to tell corporations that what they can and can't do? If a corporation requires someone to wear a shirt and shorts into their operation, are you going to say they can't? Because we are for small government as Republicans. We are for small government. And I don't like government mandates. No one should have a government mandate. But I do not want government in my business telling me how to run my
All right.
business either.
Ryan, answer. You can answer.
So what makes you ask me that question, I guess?
Because you say that we were all a problem for going to the Detroit Policy Conference because you think they shouldn't be allowed to mandate their private organization. Are you going to demand that you control private organizations as governor? Because I've heard a lot of executive order talk
All right,
from you,
let-
and that's exactly
All
what
right,
we've
so
been trying to
private-
get away from.
What kind of restrictions on private enterprise? I think that's the question. Go ahead, Ralph.
Great question.
I'm
Yes,
not-
when it
Ryan.
comes to vaccine mandates, we will make it so that there is no vaccine mandates across the state. We will not allow corporations
All right.
to medically discriminate against the people. Yes.
All right, let me get Garrett in there real
My-
quick. Then I'm gonna
my name-
Go ahead, Garrett. Go ahead, Garrett.
Look, we don't want government's boot on our neck. We can all agree with that. So if an employer wants to have some type of policy, that's fine. But as your next governor, I'm going to stand for something. We're going to honor your medical waiver. We're going to honor your religious waiver, and what I'm going to tack on is called a philosophical waiver, because as an American, you have no right to ask me my religion or my health history. You have a choice. That's how you get around with it.
All right. Okay. All right. Let's
Charlie, my name was brought out. My name was brought out.
real quick. Go ahead.
Ryan said, Ralph, did you not say in Alcona County that you were not going, and did you go? And the answer is yes. And the reason why I said no first is because the conference required a vaccine and required proof of vaccine free. And I said I am not going under those circumstances. When they changed the rules for everybody who attended, I said I am going.
All right. Okay. Let's go. New topic here. ML. New topic. New topic.
There are some Republicans who are concerned that the chance for the party to win the governorship, the Attorney General's seat, and the Secretary of State is going to be jeopardized because there's so much talk about 2020. There's not enough about 2022. Do you share those concerns, and what would you say to those people?
I think
Tudor.
Go ahead,
Go ahead, Tudor.
I think you've seen a lot of us focusing on what the state needs to do to get ahead. And right now, this state is suffering in areas of education, in workforce, and when the state is killing business. I think if you were on the trail following the candidates, you would hear that, especially from me, you would hear that I am here for parents. I am here for business. We have big problems in the state. COVID exposed those problems. We have to look at some of the good things that came out of COVID, and seeing how Gretchen Whitmer treats business, this heavy hand, this comes down from her entire bureaucracy. We have agencies, whether it is the environmental agency or licensing agency, that is driving business out of the state, which is hurting all of our families. So we are focused on making Michigan family friendly.
All right, let's get Kevin Rinke. I think you look like you want to get in on this.
No, I think it starts, and I say it everywhere I go.
ML,
it's
is he
about having an environment for people to be successful in. It starts with education, and it needs to be fixed. We have the fastest falling education in America. We currently rank 47th. It starts with a business environment and a tax environment that's favorable. That's why I called for the elimination of the personal income tax. There's 9 states that don't have personal income tax. All 9 grew during COVID economically. All 9 grew in the number of citizens.
Hold
on.
Finish, Charlie. We talk about
30
states
seconds.
like Florida. We talk about states like Texas. We talk about states like Tennessee. We talk about states like Nevada and Wyoming, and they're kicking Michigan's butt. And it's going to stop under a Rinke administration, and it starts with having the right tax structure and the right business structure. And I don't think there's anyone in here that disagrees
let me get Garrett. Go ahead.
I forgot what the question was.
So, let me
I know what the question is. Let me answer that.
Can you repeat the question?
ML, why'd you change it up just a tad?
I'm
Okay?
listening. I have the
All right,
answer.
no stuff. Let's try to
Kevin,
get what we've
we
heard
heard
some
you
of these
talking
before.
about 2022. Do you think your opponents are talking too much about 2020? And then Ralph wants to get in on that.
Ralph?
I want to get on that. If there was a bank that was robbed, and we knew that it was robbed, and we said, let's just put up some camera, let's put a few security guards at the door, and we'll forget about it. That would be ludicrous. I'm in law enforcement. The chiefs of police have endorsed me. That's ludicrous. You have to investigate. And so just to say we have now cameras over drop boxes or we've got more people in there, we have to go back and prosecute, because if we don't prosecute, we will never get this thing fixed.
Go ahead. All right.
So, this can apply not only to the election, but basically what you do in 2020. I think that's what we need to understand and know is we need leadership. Now, Ryan and I may not agree on our approach and everything, but I respect Ryan the fact that he has been there ever since the beginning, standing up for all of us, and so have I. My question is to the other 3 candidates. You guys are all talking a big game right now. You truly are, and you're giving a bunch of lip service. But what in the hell did you do?
No.
Hold on. Go ahead, Garrett.
I know. My question to
Garrett,
all of you.
specifically, what lip service are they giving?
What did you do in 2020? What did you do in 2020? That's what the people want to know.
I'll tell you what I
we want a
did.
fighter.
I'll tell you what I did. I'm tired of this story that you guys tell. Well, I'm the only one that stood up. I counseled the people that Whitmer locked down who were suicidal. I counseled police officers and their children. Just because you didn't see me at that point standing up when I'm doing chaplain ministry, serving the people of the state, you cannot stand there and say nobody
Ryan,
else
let me
did
get
anything.
you in on here. He said lip. Are you giving lip service, Ryan?
I didn't say Ryan was giving lip service.
Who's giving the
I
lip
said he's been
service?
standing up.
Tudor's giving lip.
Down there.
Ryan,
He's
go ahead. Get
implying
in there.
that
To
we
address
are
the
giving lip
question,
service.
You ask if we are going to be losing credibility from the governor's seat, the attorney general seat, and the secretary of state seat by talking about 2020 too much. We have all been speaking about a broad array of issues. And yes, we do continue to bring 2020 up. And you know what? The left is continuing to push further and further left. They're talking about they don't even know how to define a woman nowadays, okay? So they've gone so far off the rocker. We are focused on reality. And I think that's going to resonate with a heck of a lot more people. You know, Patty, you gave a statistic talking about 11% of people, they only care something along the lines of that about abortion. Now, you know, the big topics are the inflation, the gas prices, and the food prices. It is not January 6th. It is not about all this other nonsense that the left is wanting to do.
Tudor, real quick, you want to say something on this topic?
I started fighting for conservative causes years ago. We started a company in 2017 to go into middle and high schools and fight against CNN 10 in our middle and high schools. We created a program to show kids how great America is, to show kids jobs, and I've been fighting for conservative voices ever since. And so when these guys were out there doing what they were doing, their protests, I was making sure it was broadcast nationwide.
All right, thank
Charlie,
you.
I'm sorry, Charlie, please, 10
We were
seconds.
doing more than protesting.
I was serving the citizens of this state when these guys were in diapers.
Okay.
All right?
All right, Patty, new topic.
All right.
Wait a minute.
All right. Okay, this question is for
I
everyone.
got to say something real quick. This is what everybody came here to see tonight, and this is what we need. So thank you, guys. Let's keep it up.
All right. Patty, new topic.
All right, the next question is for everyone. By a show of hands, how many of the candidates have openly endorsed Matt DePerno for Attorney General or Christina Caramo for Secretary of State, or both?
I'll go first on that.
Okay.
I endorsed Matt and Christina before the state convention, and I was out there with them at state convention promoting them. And I was even told that I lost a couple of votes because of that, because other people supported Tom Leonard. Enough of that nonsense. Come out and support who you support and stand and fight for them.
Garrett?
I took a different approach because in the beginning, when we first announced, the establishment got around James Craig, who is no longer with us. And that was garbage because the Michigan GOP should be staying out of the race and allow we the people to determine who we want to have represent us in all levels of office. So I made a vow that I would stay out of the races because I didn't want to contribute to the races. But obviously they have my full support, and I know they're going to do great because we need to get rid of the terrible three, and I say vote the O's. Caramo, DePerno, Soldano.
All right. Tudor?
Yes, we have also seen how it's hurt candidates when other candidates come in. Candidates should be running their own races, but we are so supportive of our wonderful Secretary of State and Attorney General candidates.
Okay, Kevin?
Yeah, I respected the people at convention. There's a process. And as soon as they were elected, I was right there shaking their hands. The people have spoken. And as your next governor, I'm going to lead the party with them to a better Michigan.
All right.
And looking forward to it.
Ralph?
I supported them before the convention because I have good taste and I know who can lead the state. So I was in favor of both Christina and Matt, and I'm on record as supporting such.
Let's do a new topic real quick. Whoever?
Sure.
ML?
The Supreme Court, in its abortion ruling, at least one justice indicated that the Supreme Court may be open to reviewing other precedent and possibly undoing laws that allow same-sex marriages, making sodomy illegal. Do you think that's judicial overreach, and how do you stand on those positions?
They need to revisit. They need to revisit it all, and that's one thing as Christians.
But specifically on those issues, please.
Well, let's get to the persecution of Christians right now because of what we stand for, and we're telling that we're homophobic and we're racist and all this other garbage. And so, in my Catholic religion, marriage is defined as a man and a woman. And so I have no problem because I have people in the LGBTQ community that are family members, and I love them just as much as I love everyone else. But if they want to have the same benefits as what a marriage is, then I wish they would have respected my religion and called it something up with the same things that they get with being a married couple.
But if they can't get married, that makes it tough, right?
Well, you can call it something else and allow them to it, a union, whatever they want to call it. But my Catholic faith defines it as a man and a woman. That's it. My belief. Does that make it right or wrong? That's my belief. But I shouldn't be getting persecuted for my belief in my religion.
Ryan?
And that's what's happening.
Ryan?
The Supreme Court decisions that are coming out recently are very powerful, and what they're doing is they're giving a lot of power back to the states, which is where it belongs in the first place, right? That was the decision that overturned Roe versus Wade there. It wasn't about abortion as much as it was about giving the power back to the states. And I believe that the federal government the Supreme Court needs to start rolling back a lot of those things and give the power back to the states where it belongs. Article 1, Section 8 of the U.S. Constitution lays out the job description of the federal government. Now, on these issues specifically, the Michigan Constitution defines a marriage between one man and one woman. And that is my belief also. And I think that there are many people that they want to be able to, sleep with whoever they want to, and that should be their right. That should not be pushed on our children. That should not be made into mainstream and pushed in our schools through this transgender LGBTQ.
Let me just for time. That's all. Tudor, you want to add in, or Kevin or Ralph? Anybody?
I do.
Go ahead, real quick.
Yeah, I tell people, because of my love for the Lord and my understanding of marriage from the Scriptures, I tell people that I am not running for the judge of the universe. I'm running for the governor of Michigan. And we have, as was mentioned, Article 1, Section 25 of our Constitution, Michigan Constitution, says that for the betterment of society, marriage is between a man and a woman. I draw the line where God does, and that's where I stand.
Kevin, real quick.
I'm just happy to say my partner is my wife.
All right. New topic, Patty.
I'd like to get your thoughts on forcing college students to be vaccinated as a condition to attend taxpayer-funded colleges in Michigan.
Hot garbage.
I believe that was a mistake.
Absolutely wrong.
No government mandates. No government mandates. Certainly not at our schools. No way. Not our kids.
I would have froze funding to those schools.
I would have cut funding.
Those mandates. Absolutely wrong.
I'm not only going to freeze funding, but I'm going to remove funding for our colleges and universities from the budget. There's way too much money. But on this particular issue, folks, let me tell you this. When was asked, hey, what did you do in 2020? I was signing religious exemptions for college students, for doctors and nurses, even for people in the military. As a pastor, I was doing that because I stood up for them.
Okay. All right. Anybody? Let's wait. New topic.
It's my understanding that everyone on the panel opposes abortion, and if I'm wrong, please correct me, but are there exceptions that you would support for rape, incest, life of the mother? I believe the 1931 law only makes an exception for
the life of the mother. Yep.
What exceptions, if any, would you support as Michigan?
I'll support that 1931 law, exactly what you said. Life of the mother, that the baby can't come out via C-section, but it's at the moment of conception.
Anybody change it?
And I got crucified on The View for saying that. Who watches The View in here?
Nobody.
Yeah, exactly. Thank God Whoopi was on suspension. That's all I have to say.
All right. Ryan?
I mean, I think we've already answered all of these questions, and I think a lot of us have some of the same standpoints. I think we should be asking more difficult questions that kind of contradict a little bit of the candidates.
Well, could you answer that one? It'll only take 10 seconds.
Yeah, for sure. 1931 law is great, but there's very few instances where the mother's life would need to be saved. Very, very few instances ever.
All right, I want to answer.
Anybody different on that?
Candidate that said that I follow the same position as Ronald Reagan and Donald J. Trump. Life of the mother, rape, and incest.
Okay, all
That's
three.
my position.
Okay, Ralph, real quick.
Real quick. These guys got to talk.
Well, okay, it's all right.
All right, real quick. Here's the. I have absolutely no exceptions, and the reason why is because when a mother is under duress and that pregnancy is questionable, she does not go. Listen, she does not go to an abortion mill. She goes to the hospital. And the doctors try to save both lives. That's what happens. So I have no exceptions, but I have one quick question that we've never answered. This would help you guys, the whole group, find out where we all stand.
Good.
Who believes that at conception, there's a person at conception?
It's a baby.
Raise your hand if you believe at conception
there's
a person.
The baby.
That's the science.
It's DNA.
They all agree.
I mean,
They all agree.
I just want to say that
Tudor.
I am pro-life. I received the Right to Life endorsement. I am pro-life with the exceptions for life of the mother.
Do you believe that?
Please let her answer.
Let her answer. Let her answer. Go ahead, Tudor.
I am pro-life with exceptions for life of the mother, but I think that this is such a huge opportunity for the state of Michigan because as we see corporate America saying that they're going to fly people out of the state to have abortions, we are calling on corporate America to come around family and say, we will pay for your health care to have that baby. We will pay for child care to support working moms. Instead of Gretchen Whitmer, who says when Roe v. Wade came into play,
Right.
women could finally work and have their own businesses. Women can work and have their own businesses with family, and we support that.
All right, only about a minute left. Patty, new topic, real quick.
Gretchen Whitmer has been one of the most divisive governors in Michigan. In 2012, Whitmer, who was a senator at the time, bragged about, quote, opening the doors to the Capitol, end quote, to let angry protesters inside where lawmakers were voting on the highly contentious right to work legislation. Yet today, Gretchen Whitmer calls citizens who protest over election fraud at the U.S. Capitol insurrectionists. If you are elected governor, what will you do to heal the political divide in our state?
Friends, I've been counseling married couples who are at odds with one another, ready to kill each other, ready to go to divorce court, and they have come together. I've counseled parents and children. I've counseled businesses whose difficulty of where children inherit something from mom and dad. The two sons want to go in different directions.
We got to do about time. We have about a minute left over here. Tudor,
We're having fun.
Want to answer this? I know you're having fun. This is good. Go ahead. Quick answer.
Yes, I think it is time for us to come together for common sense solutions for this state. It's so important that we make sure that we have choice in education, and right now we have an opportunity to reach across the aisle and have parents come together and have choice.
let me ask-
Dollars follow the child.
We only have it in the interest of time, though. We kind of know the answer. How do you differ on that topic? Garrett?
We're not the ones dividing this nation right now. They are. And that's one thing right now that's happening. One thing that's happening right now is everyone is walking away. Our grandparents, our parents' Democratic Party does not exist anymore. And people are coming over. There is 1 million, I think, new Republican voters now. It's not going to be a red wave. It's going to be a red tsunami.
Ryan, real quick.
Are you saying that Gretchen Whitmer is an insurrectionist? Is that what you said? I believe that's what I heard. Look, we find unity in our country by respecting our United States Constitution, by respecting freedom and liberty, and we will not negotiate with these big government communists.
Kevin,
not going to happen.
10 seconds.
Yeah, Gretchen's a hypocrite.
Okay.
That was
Okay,
5
that's
seconds.
less than 10 seconds. All right, that's it. All right, that's it for this open forum. Thank you, candidates. I appreciate that. All right, closing statements now. We were going to go in an order that was picked before the debate. Garrett Soldado, 1 minute closing, please.
That's what we're looking for right now is leadership. Somebody that's going to unite the party, unite the people, and bring people from the other side to our side with a conversation. We also need a fighter. We need somebody that's been battle-hardened against Governor Whitmer. And guess what? I am. I've been holding her accountable for the last 2 years and 3 months nonstop. I've been out there jeopardizing my life, my family's life, my business, my license as a doctor for the people, not because of a political career or a political agenda. It's time for ordinary people to do extraordinary things. And that's what I'm going to bring to the table. I will continue to inspire and motivate Michigan's greatest asset, and that is the people, to get things done. And that's what we have been able to accomplish as a movement, not only getting rid of that 1945 law, but getting local communities involved, getting people to run for school boards, city councils, city commissions, recruiting licensed election inspectors. Our movement with the right leadership is already getting things done. I'm not up here giving you lip service. I'm up here actually doing it. I'm Garrett Soldano, and I am your next governor.
All right, thank you. Ralph Rebrat, closing.
Folks, I've been saying for the last year, and I'm not giving lip service to anything, I have 35 years of history standing up for truth. And as I look at what I've been saying, and as people have heard me say, if we don't get God right in this next election, nothing will matter. Friends, I say that because God has given us rights and liberties that the left is trampling. If they don't come from God, anybody can take away what you have. God has raised every one of you up for this moment in time. The house is on fire. We need to each bring our bucket, whatever we can, bring our bucket to that fire to put it out. Folks, I want you to think about this phrase as you walk out the door. End the disaster, vote for the pastor.
Thank you, Ralph Ray Brown. Tudor Dixon, please.
This is a pivotal year for the state of Michigan because this governor has done so much damage to this state. So we need to get in there and work with the legislature. And I have already been working with the legislature on important bills. First and foremost, let's protect our kids, and that's what we were able to do today. Let's make sure we bring back education, and let's make sure business succeeds in this state. We are on the verge of losing our legacy industries. You saw this happen with Kellogg's. You've seen this happen with Ford. We have to change the way we treat our citizens and our businesses in this state, and we can come together across the aisle and make sure that Michigan thrives again. Make sure that this is the place, as I said before, that you want to live, play, and work, and I am excited to work alongside all of you and serve you as your governor. So I ask you that I would please earn your vote, and you would let me serve you as the next governor of Michigan.
Thank you, Tudor Dixon. Kevin Rinke.
So in our lives, when we contribute to our communities and our state, there is a time to learn, there is a time to earn, and there's a time to serve. My time to serve is now. I'm not part of the establishment. I don't pander to it. I'm a businessman. I'm not owned by anyone. I can do the right things for the people of Michigan, just like I did it for my employees, just like I did it for the millions of customers that we've served, just like I'll do it for you. Remember when they said, what's he going to do, wave a wand? It was about not understanding leadership. And Donald J. Trump showed leadership. Kevin Rinke is going to show leadership for Michigan, and I only win when you win. That's my litmus test. Yes, I'm putting forth my personal funds, but more importantly, I'm giving something back to you that I can never get back.
All right.
My time.
All right.
I love this state.
Thank
I
you.
love the people of Michigan, and I look forward to your support.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Kevin Rinke. All right, Ryan Kelly.
John Adams said, always stand on principle, even if you stand alone. I stand alone on this stage today, and yes, I'm going to bring up the Mackinac Policy Conference again. Because at that Mackinac Policy Conference, the Detroit Chamber wanted everyone to show their vaccine identification cards or take negative COVID tests as a way to enter, except for the governor's debate. They segregated them. They moved them outside in a tent. They treated these other governor candidates like second-class citizens in order to come up there and debate. And I said no. I said no to vaccine mandates. I stood my ground. TV cameras were up there. I passed on the TV cameras. God had a funny way. The FBI shows up. Lots of national attention from there. If you're looking for someone that's standing on principle, somebody that's going to fight for us no matter what the cost, on August 2nd, 33 days from now, vote for Ryan Kelly to make Gretchen Whitmer a one-term governor.
All right. That will end tonight's debate. Let's give a big round of applause to all of the candidates. Thank you so much. We'd like to thank the Brighter Michigan PAC for hosting this debate here at the beautiful Royalty House in Warren. Our timekeepers, thank them. Rihanna, Derek, Rianne, thank you so much. There will be rebroadcasts of this debate on WWJ Radio, Fox 2, and the Brighter Michigan PAC. Remember, voting takes place right now, and of course, you can vote on Election Day on August 2nd. From all of us here, thank you so much. I'm Charlie Langton. Good night.